All right, let's move to this now. The National Shelter Movement of South Africa, an umbrella organization working with about 100 GBV shelters and safe houses nationwide, marks these 16 days of activism with a clear message: GBV in South Africa cannot be treated as a 16-day campaign when we are living through a 365-day emergency. Well, this year's global theme, Unite to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls, reinforces the Letsema call for a united effort as digital abuse is rising sharply and affecting women and girls across the communities. Ending GBV now requires protecting people both offline and online. And if men, women, boys and girls are to work together, as the G20 vision demands, digital safety must be part of that shared responsible. Fatima Mamod is with that organization and joins me live now. Fatima, thank you so much indeed for your time. We really do appreciate it. In fact, this is a conversation that we had a few days ago when the G20 was underway. We saw a number of organizations take to the streets and speak about how we should not just be focusing on gender-based violence. During the 16 days, a woman is beaten up every day, a woman is killed every day. First, let's talk about that aspect of the conversation.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Absolutely. So, and I think the president before the G20 summit and him announcing that this is a global and a countrywide pandemic highlights why we can't only look at this in a 16-day campaign period, because our country is not facing a 16-day crisis. We're facing this 365 days, and for survivors and victims who go through this, it's multiple times in a day. And that's the point of this. That's why we spoke about this a few days ago. And we need to be talking about this daily, because this is happening on a daily basis, multiple times throughout the day. It's great that we get time during the 16 days of activism. Any spotlight that we can share on this is helpful, but what we want is to move this beyond the 16 days, to move this beyond talking what research is showing us, what we're seeing, because we know all of that. Now we're also focusing on the online aspect, and we're saying, what is going to be done about this?
And I want to talk a bit about that. The abuse, is now extended to online. This has happened for a number of years. The more presence there is online, people use that, and it even becomes better. And when I say better in this instance, is that the people behind the screens are faceless. You do not even know who is attacking you.
Absolutely. Digital abuse is one of the fastest growing forms of violence. Gender becomes, as you've mentioned, faceless. Boys, young men, people from the LGBTQI community, women, young girls. It's stalking, it's revenge porn, it's threats, it's online harassment. It's about how the online can transform into the physical realities of what you experience. I've got this, and if you're not going to comply or allow me to control or continue abusing you, this is what I'm going to do. And we haven't even come to grasp with the reality of all the physical forms. Many countries have moved forward in terms of online and digital abuse. We're still behind and lagging on that end. Many survivors who arrive at shelters have been targeted both online and offline. We're working in terms of the offline abuse. Digital safety now has to be incorporated into shelter safety. And this theme is a reminder that protection must follow women, wherever violence follows them. And hence, we also now need to start incorporating about the digital aspect that GBV is now encountering.
Yeah, and in my intro there, I was talking about, your organization working with 100 shelters. That's really a staggering number. I mean, how did we get here? Because obviously, this means there's a whole lot more work that goes into this.
Absolutely. We got here because I think the more we talk about this, women feel empowered to a certain point to at least leave the places of abuse. They've got places of safety, and as communities realize, more and more pop up and crop up, and hence we're at about, from our umbrella organization perspective, at about 100. And we're grateful, and from what we've seen, we need even more than the 100. The question is, what are we doing to ensure sustainability of these shelters? What are we doing to ensure that there's no burnout? What are we doing in terms of empowering? And what are we doing in terms of stemming where the violence is starting? So not just a reactive solution. And then once women have come through the shelter and, they're ready to be reintegrated as a society, what are we doing to incorporate them back into a space where they're independent, they're financially active, where they don't need to go back to the abusive environments they came from?
And I mean, the big topic that has been for the past week and a half, I would say, is the government, classifying GBVF as a national disaster. I mean, what does that actually translate to in practice?
So what we want to see is that now this is a national disaster, and as a national disaster, we should stop talking about this. It's been classified. Where is the money that follows? Not a pandemic, but a national disaster. We saw the type of funding, accessibility, solutions that came when COVID, which was a pandemic, happened. If we're classifying GBVF as this, where's the funding? Where's the sustainability? Where's the focus, the relentless focus to address it, the relentless sustainable solutions to come through, where every person in society, where every government organization, where every non-governmental organization was focused on that. So great, yes, we've achieved that. But what we're saying is what follows from there. Where's the sustainable funding? Where's the sustainable solutions? Where's the active, visible mobilization of resources, financial, non-financial, that follow something that has been classified as a national disaster? We're still waiting for all of those. And how long do we have to talk about this to get all of that translated?
And I mean, if we talk about, putting the money where our mouths are, we also need to delve into the issue of femicide. That's another element of gender-based violence. And how do we deal with that? It's a critical part that I wouldn't say is not often spoken of, but it's one of the aspects that we need to pay very, very close attention to.
Absolutely, and I think the stats in terms of femicide is staggering. We've had a few discussions. We've had our national shelter in Daba a few weeks ago, where this topic came up as well. And where's the discussions around how armed guns relate to femicide? Where's the link between gender-based violence and femicide in terms of from shelters, in terms of coming from not a reactive but a proactive manner? Because the stats indicate that GBV often ends in femicide. We know this. We're still providing this being done proactively.
All right, Fatima, thank you very much indeed. We really do appreciate your time. We seem to have had a connectivity issue towards the end, but we got the gist indeed of what you have been saying. Thank you very much. Fatima Mamod is with the National Shelter Movement of South Africa.